Hey everybody, Quinn Cunningham with Fortitude Training Concepts, and I want to discuss how to clean an AR15 platform. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to see what kind of equipment we need. Now I like to utilize the coated rods when we utilize the bore, so what you need to do is get the longest freaking rod you can. I think this is given to me, that's why it's so long. You're going to need a 22 caliber bore brush, toothbrush like before, jag, loop, dental pick, some kind of scraping tool. They make a whole bunch of different stuff. I just use this. And a chamber brush. This is not a bore brush. Chamber brush. Alright. Might be a good idea to get some kind of bore guide too. This is from an M1A. I just kind of hold it in there to protect the bore itself. They make a whole bunch of different ones. If you have a higher end rifle with a really good barrel, probably a good idea. So first, let's make sure we are clear of ammunition. This is the Noveski. You're going to separate the upper and the lower receiver. And she is dirty, so I'm going to put on some gloves here. Dirty girl. You dirty girl. I'm going to try to put on. What is going on with me in these gloves? I have carbon oil on my lips. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is, after we separate the upper and lower, if you have an optic on there, you can either take it off. I don't like to take them off. They say they return zero, but, make sure those caps are on so you don't get any solvent on glass. Remove the bolt, remove the charging handle. On the lower itself, I take out the buffer and the buffer spring. Alrighty, from there I am going to take apart the bolt itself. Take out the bolt, or excuse me, firing pin, retaining pin. Take out the firing pin itself. Dirty. The cam pin, camping. And the bolt. Got the bolt carrier and the bolt. Now from there I am going to break it down even further and take off the extractor. Just use my dental pick for that. Alright. So what we're going to do is, first I like to scrub down the bolt. Now when it comes to an AR15 gas impingement system relies on gas to operate. So when it comes to the bolt carrier the bolt, and on the tail of the bolt, this is where the gas comes in. I don't get too crazy on this part. In fact, when it comes to any of the gas system, I don't get too crazy because the way I see it is it's sealing up things a little bit. But I am gonna scrub it down. I'm not gonna scrape it. So I get out the trusty M Pro 7. Don't give me any money to say that, but I like the product, so might as well give them props. So scrub her down. Okay, once that's good, I am going to clean off the extractor itself. This is a part where if I do have some crud in there underneath on the hook itself on the extractor. Go ahead and scrape that out. And then the rest of the parts. Camping. Again, I don't get too crazy on this. And this rifle has about 5,000 through it. Since building it, and it's the first time it's been cleaned. Firing pin. Firing pin, retaining pin, and the extractor pin. All right, so I'm going to let those things sit. Now it's for the carrier itself, so I'm going to spray down. Scrub it. Let's see how that black nitride worked. Comes pretty clean, pretty quick. Then let's clean off the charging handle. He's looking pretty good. Like I said, first time I've cleaned this rifle, and first time I've really opened her up. Now I'm going to take the buffer and the buffer spring and just like the recoil spring assembly on a semi-auto, I'm just going to wipe that down dry. All right, so this is when we're going to start getting dirty. First, I'm going to get the lower. When you clean the lower, and you're going to bring the hammer forward, I would not do it without holding the hammer and easing it forward. Some parts up there, the bolt catch you can break, and you don't want to cause any damage to that aluminum. So, same deal. Now, like before with the handgun we talked about, and we're cleaning the internals, you know, you got some springs in here. I've seen people get a little bit too aggressive, cause some damage to those springs. I usually say, you know, if you don't want to break the internals, then don't clean it. But I've never said that. Right, let that hammer go forward, and then clean her off. Man, I really like this Geisley trigger. I love this rifle. I haven't done a review on it. I wanted to. Maybe I will still. I did a review on the initial muzzle brake I had on the front. I haven't done one since. Okay, so I scrub all that stuff. Now this is where the Q-tips really come in handy. So I'd get down really deep with those Q-tips. Okay, so set that down right there. And then the upper itself. Man. That's we are getting after it with this rifle. She's nice and dirty. It's hard to do this and look at the camera at the same time, so I apologize if I'm not looking at the camera. Got to see what I'm doing. I guess I can do this, but that would be awkward. what to do with my hands. Alright. Now next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the chamber brush, spray her down. Place it into the chamber, pass the lugs, give it a twist, pull it out. Rinse and repeat. That way we get all the lugs. We get any debris where the locking lugs go on the bolt, get those out of there. So what that looks like is this, if you're not familiar with it. So I'm placing the chamber brush into the upper, stopping in the chamber, and then I twist. And then I pull out, push it in, twist, just like that. Now, being said, I'm sure I'll get a comment. I had a student, and the student will probably comment on it. This is not a bore brush. This is not meant to go down the bore. 556, 223. This is the chamber brush. I was teaching a class. Now, great guy. And I look over, and he's got his cleaning rod on the ground, and it's just bent like that. And what are you doing, man? I'm trying to get this chamber brush through. That's the chamber brush. Yeah, just and it finally shunk. Oh, Jeff. Yeah, happened. I like to get the outside of the muzzle brake or compensator or whatever you're using as well during this step. Another thing, if you have a light on there, you might want to cover that lens. Okay, so what we'll do now is we're going to get our excessively long rod. I'm going to put some bore gel on the bore brush. And then we're going to push it through a couple times. I was going to clean my SBR, but that would be really weird. I had this long a chamber brush. Again, with our brushes, we are going the direction of the bullets. If you have a precision type rifle and you feel it necessary to take that brush off, probably a good idea if you feel the need. This is also where you use a chamber guide as well. All right. Yeah. Okay. So letting these parts sit, letting all of the chemicals do their work. So from there, what we are going to do. This is ridiculous how long this thing is. Okay, from there what we're going to do is we're going to start scrubbing everything down, or excuse me, wiping everything down. Like firing pin leaves, clean that out as well. I'm also going to use some cleaner degreaser on this and get anything left. Yeah, looks good. Get the extractor now. Clean her off. The cam pin. That was cam. Shoot. I'm talking to myself out there. What is going on? I wasn't getting comfortable in these videos. The firing pin retainer pin. So that doesn't mean I should continue to talk to myself. Firing pin itself. And then I'm going to work on I'm amazed on how clean this black nitride stuff works, or how clean it gets. I'm gonna have to buy these for all my ARs. Oh wait, I don't clean my guns. Just have to do a video. Getting down into the area of the bolt where, excuse me, the bolt carrier where the bolt lives. Alright, that one. And then the charging handle. One thing I failed to do, I'm going to do it right now, is remove the buffer from the buffer spring. Look at that. My teleprompter is not working. Alright. So that is the bolt carrier, pretty much the bolt carrier group. Now I'm going to get the lower. Same thing, taking a patch, taking those Q-tips, getting all that stuff out before I do my cleaner degreaser. This is where you're going to love that cleaner degreaser. Get down inside here. All right, so let's go to the upper. Take a relatively clean patch. That's pretty dirty. It's probably going to need another pass, quite frankly. So I'm going to spray it down. A little bit more toothbrushing. In there, and then at this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to run down a dry patch through the bore of the barrel. I'm sorry, as I was. I'm going to send down a patch that has bore solvent on it. Gel on there. Let her work into that patch in the very, very excessively long cleaning rod. Let's see here. Let's do this. A little big. Okay, I'll run that down a few times, and then I'm going to switch to some dry patches. You ever see colors on these? The different colors can tell you different things about what's going on in the bore itself. If you see some blue, that means you have copper. If you have green, that means carbon. I don't mind copper in the bore. Found with precision rifles, you take the copper out of the bore, you will your groups can grow larger than you will believe. Good prevention from that is just to break it in. There's a lot of theories on breaking in your rifle barrels. It's totally up to you on how you want to do it. Some people say shoot it. I kind of go back and forth on the issue. I had an Accuracy International that took literally months breaking in the barrel. If you're not familiar with breaking in the barrel, what that entails is you fire around and then you clean it. And then you fire around and then you clean it. And you do that 5 to 10 times. And then after that, this rod is just way too long. After that, what you do is you go to 2 rounds, clean it, 2 rounds, clean it, 3 rounds, clean it, 3 rounds, clean it, about 5 times. And then from there, you're going to go to the 5 rounds. And then after that, what essentially you're doing is lapping the barrel. Lapping the barrel with bullets. And I did it on an Accuracy International, and it took, like I said, 6 months. And wasn't really worth it. So I'm still getting a lot of carbon coming from the barrel itself. So I'm just gonna, for the video, I'm just gonna stop doing that, and I'm gonna clean the chamber. Get under those lugs. They've got a lot of brushes and different tools you can utilize to get in those. All right, that's good enough. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to get my cleaner degreaser and spray all these parts down. Again, if you didn't watch the handgun video for cleaning, I like Impro 7 products because they are water-based. They are odorless. They are not tasteless. If you watch that video. And then for a good powder, cleaner degreaser, powder blast, gun scrubber, stuff like that works pretty good. So, scrubber down. This stuff, however, is not odorless. The powder blast, though, has a nice hint of citrus. Okay, I'll get the bolt carrier, the bolt, and all the other pieces and parts of the bolt carrier group. Okay. Get that charging handle. Now for the upper. The upper is usually where we've got all our stuff on. For the guys who like to put a lot of stuff on top of their firearms, on the rails and things like that. If you have optics, if you have lights, be careful if you're going to utilize these things, because this stuff can damage the glass, especially on an expensive optic or on your lights itself. So be careful, please. What I do is I let it muzzle down, let it run down the board, and then I'm going to run another essentially we're taking a lot of debris and we're putting down the bore, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run another patch down there to get all that cleaned out. But I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty impressed about this black nitride finish. Kind of an old school guy, and I get to use this rod again. Pretty excited about that. Kind of an old school guy, and I'm impressed by this stuff. It comes clean. You can pretty much wipe it off. Hopefully this patch isn't too big. Again, dry patch. Get all that crap out of the barrel. You just went down the bore with your bore cleaner, or excuse me, your cleaner degreaser. Normally you do probably a couple passes. Now what I would do is I would do a couple passes, and then put a little bit of oil on the patch, and then a couple more passes with a dry patch. So clean the barrel out, make sure it's all nice and good. Do a patch with oil on it from there, and then dry patches. This lubricates the bore, and so the bullets will faster. All right, so I'm going to end whatever I'm doing with probably 3 dry patches, just so I know that that bore is clean. All right. Do one last final rub down of the parts and pieces. Get any of those big chunks out. All right, so I think that's good for right meow. Now, what I'm going to do for lubrication is I am going to get a drop of oil. If you're looking down on the upper on this direction, you're going to see the channel where that charging handle's at, and you're going to see some wear marks. So I'm going to put a drop right there. I'm also going to put some on the charging handle itself. Again, you're going to see a lot of wear marks. Okay, from there, place the charging handle into where it lives. I'm going to put the bolt together. Extractor. Extractor pin. Good. This is where I'm going to do a gas ring check. So what I'm going to do is nothing else inside the bolt. You've got these gas rings right here on the tail of the bolt. I put it in the bolt carrier. And if I could do this and they stay, the gas rings are good. If the bolt comes out, you need new gas rings. Now, another fallacy is they say on these gas rings, what it is, it's a ring with a little bit of gap. That gap is so you can stretch it out a little and put it into this groove right here. These are the gas rings. This is the groove they live in. On these gaps, they say you must line those up so they're at 120 degrees. So you have a gap up here, a gap down here, and a gap here on the gas ring. I say bowl. I shot a full auto M4 with one gas ring, several hundred rounds, maybe even 1,000 with this, with just one gas ring. No problems. I don't stagger those gas rings. Never had an issue. I think that's just an urban myth. What I am going to do is I'm going to lubricate those gas rings, put a drop of oil on those gas rings. I'll put in the bolt. All right, so now I'm going to put the bolt back together. Excuse me, bolt carrier group. Put it in the cam pin. Preventative maintenance. So while we're thinking about it, probably a good idea to have some gas rings on because those will wear out and those can fail. Inspect them when you clean every time. If you see any material that is missing, so what they'll do is it'll wear inside the bolt carrier as the bolt locks and unlocks, and that's just going to cause some wear. And eventually, that stagger, that hole, will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You'll be able to see a difference between a new one and an old one. It's very, very readily forgot the word. So now I'm going to lubricate the bolt carrier itself. Now, if you watched the video on semi-autos, I told you in my training experience for quite some time as an armor in charge of a couple thousand firearms, I saw some problems with overoiling with a semi-automatic handgun. With a rifle, I excessively oil the rifle because I have seen well lubricated rifles work through malfunctions. All right, so that is good there. On our lower, you're going to see two sets of springs. One spring is for the hammer, one spring is for the trigger. The hammer is the forward one, the trigger is these guys at the rear. I'm going to put a drop of oil where you see the coils for that hammer spring and that trigger spring. That lubricates the pins where those move on and rotate on. Okay. Don't forget the buffer. With the buffer, some people put a little grease on there. Cool. Not up to you. What I do is I'll just put some oil in my hand. Give it a little bit of love. And put the buffer back in the buffer tube. Get to your home. All right, now we are going to put the rifle back together. It's a Noveski, so it's nice and tight. From there, with the handgun, we do the 4+ methodology. So I'm going to run down and just lubricate the outside of the upper and lower receiver. Just take my gloves off since I'm getting a carbon on the outside. Okay, just lubricate that stuff with a patch. Has a few drops of oil on it. Now from there, dry patch or a dry rag that does not have a bunch of carbon on it. You're going to want to also throw some oil on all of these steel parts. Again, just a little dab, rub it in a little bit. Most of this rifle is, however, aluminum. All right. Now what are we going to do? We're going to do a function check on her. Going to run the bolt. Make sure it's nice and smooth. Lock the bolt to the rear. Let it go forward on the bolt catch. From there, I am going to put it on safe. Hammer has to be back for this. I'm going to put it on safe, press the trigger and hold it, and then take it off safe. It should not fire. Press the trigger, take it off safe, it should not fire. Press the trigger, put it on safe, it should not fire. Then I'm going to try the trigger. And she is good. All right, so now our AR15 platform rifle is nice and clean, and we are ready to protect ourselves or our families while utilizing a much more devastating and effective weapon system. It's been Quinn Cunningham with 42 Training Concepts. Really appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, please contact us over the website, social media, etc., etc. And as always, God bless America.